Hello, I am James.
Hello, I'm Keith.
And welcome to another episode of the TechNation podcast. How are you doing, Keith?
I'm fine, James. How are you?
Okay, hot, as usual.
Just in case you're watching this from another corner of the world, this is Malta. It's 40 degrees outside.
And 55 inside.
Definitely.
Welcome to TechNation.
This episode is sponsored by Tal-Kantonera Convenience Store, Tal-Kantonera Convenience Store, which is situated in Gżira in Rue d'Argent Hill. Tal-Kantonera Convenience Store is open from 6:30 in the morning till midnight every day. Tal-Kantonera Convenience Store, where you find everything that you need for your daily needs. Tal-Kantonera Convenience Store for your freshest products with the best service.
So, James, here we are. Today we're going to discuss a central topic, I believe.
Yes, another week, another technology topic.
Yeah, it's the topic of the maker revolution, actually.
Yes. Today we're going to discuss the maker revolution. We have mentioned it, Keith, almost in every video that we have uploaded. And finally we decided that we're going to dedicate a whole episode to this maker revolution and maker spaces.
Yeah, that's it. We're gonna go into the workings of what is a maker space, what is a maker,
Exactly.
what is this all about?
Another innovation we have, Keith, it's important to grab attention to it. This is the first podcast we're doing in English. Usually we do them in our mother tongue, which is Maltese. However, we would like to broaden our audience, so we decided that at least for now, the podcast will start happening in English.
Sure.
So, what is a makerspace? When we try, Keith, every time to explain to someone who isn't really tech savvy what is a makerspace, we find it very hard to explain to a non-initiated person, let's put it that way. What is an actual makerspace? So I'm going to ask you, Keith, and I'm going to leave it up to you. So what is a makerspace, Keith?
So, to have a makerspace, you have to have people who are willing to make something. So these people are there. They are in every community, but usually they lack the specialized resources, the specialized space. So a makerspace would actually bring
makers together.
Yes, bring people together and give them the resources to do
that. Really didn't solve anything for me. So what is a maker? What we used to call an inventor?
Okay, let's not put sort of a label to it, but anyone who's willing or interested in developing something of their own, or maybe a group of people making an innovative idea, or aspiring to make a startup maybe, these people who actually want to take control of this process in their own time and with their own skills can be called actually makers.
I don't know if you agree with me, Keith. I usually tend to explain a makerspace of being a physical space filled with equipment which anyone and everyone can make use of, and to develop their own idea, whatever it is.
Yes, it also brings in people from the same community or from the wider community, close to people who are experts in some aspects of fabrication or in some
Now we're
aspects
talking
of
about the
technology.
community side of it.
Yeah.
As always, the community side of the makerspace is what actually what made it a success to begin with. So basically you have people from all walks of life coming to one single space to actually with a like mindset.
Yes,
if you will.
That's a key point, because makers share this mindset.
Yes.
Not just to make things, but also to share the making of things.
Yes. So basically we're talking about from university professors all the way to what we call backyard inventors.
Yeah.
The ones that are tinkering in the garage during the weekend to create something or to fix something. It's not really making, always fixing or whatever.
Yeah, we can also mention this is the open community mentality.
Yes.
So everyone, even someone who has no idea at all how to go into this aspect or how to go into making something, like youth, for example, youth that maybe don't find to fit in other clubs or in other cultural
we're
activities.
talking about, for example, teenager communities.
Let's say that's a very important space for teenagers, because they are also agents of new ideas and new trends, and also they touch a lot with life and culture as it grows.
Today, it's also important to mention that we decided to do it today, Keith, because finally we have some news to share, which is local,
breaking news
of local interest. In fact, I don't know why we didn't start with this, but We'll give some more details as we'll go along in the episode.
Sure, but it's an exciting time for us in this aspect. I know that, for instance, you, James, have been working on this Maker Space in Malta for quite a number of years.
For 4 years, approximately.
Yeah, and since I've been also working and helping you in developing this aspect, we've been also always been facing the problem of actually convincing people that investing a space or investing resources in this aspect would actually contribute to something.
One of the biggest problems we found is it's a very hard concept to explain in normal business, where you have auditors asking how much investment are you getting, what kind of job are you going to create.
How many people are going to get employed with this?
Exactly. It's very difficult to explain that. It goes beyond that. It goes beyond the financial return. It goes beyond the ROI, as we call it, which is extremely important for the community as such and as a country. Because let's face it, one of the biggest challenges we have right now as a country in this aspect of maker evolution, which is actually becoming the research and development community of the world, we are lacking behind. Basically, we are lacking years behind.
You can see scoreboards in innovation and research and development, and you might have maybe good results as a country, but in terms of developing your own homegrown technology and your own homegrown startups and innovations, that's definitely somewhere where this country needs to improve.
And as we were discussing before, Malta as a country, considering that there are no natural resources or where all our we base on intellectual property and on human resource skill. This is one thing that we simply cannot overlook.
Of course, we have people with a good mindset. We know that it's in our culture to be entrepreneurial. It's in our culture also to be hands-on and try to, make do with what you have and also create something. So I think finding the right mindset won't be the problem. No. It was finding the space.
It was finding the space which was the problem. And thank God, just to share the news, it was finally confirmed that we have found the space for the first MakerSpace in Malta.
MakerSpace Malta.
Yes, MakerSpace Malta. It's very simple. We can tell you as well that it's going to be in the MCAST campus, so it's quite central in Cordine.
Not only central, it's open to everyone.
And most importantly, it's open to everyone. And when we say everyone, it's everyone. You don't need to be a graduate, you don't need to be an undergraduate, you don't need to be studying at MCAST, you don't need to be going to school in the first place. You can be 60 or you can be 16.
And let's see it also from the commercial point of view. Let's say I'm employed with X company who produces, let's say, electric motors. And before, if I had an idea, I had either to work on my own steam or else actually go to another company. Which is part of the problem sometimes. Having a community shared space opens the door, even for people who are already employed with someone, but have their own thing.
Apart from that, as we were seeing before, Keith, these makerspaces, now there are so many makerspaces, some of them are specializing as well. They are going into a niche, as we say. For example, next week we have a call scheduled with the guy that runs the Space Gambit Makerspace, which is basically a makerspace,
NASA,
which is NASA's makerspace. They obviously have the niche of space exploration, and all their projects are space exploration based. However, what we were coming to is we are hearing a lot of companies which are investing in these makerspaces. Why? To pursue creative projects which really and truly they would have a very hard time convincing a financial board or a shareholders committee meeting that is needed. So they're concentrating their research and development departments to direct research which helps their company in the near.
And have foresight about the company brand and the direction they're going to have.
But what they're doing now is, and we've heard a lot of companies which are doing this, including Boeing, BMW, and a myriad of other big companies, they're partnering with these maker spaces so that they have another outlet where, with very little supervision or they don't need to convince the financial board of directors. They are using these maker spaces to do research which is more creative, which is more out there at the limits of their
it's
of their
sourcing of innovation and new blood in innovation as well, because that's what it brings.
But this what brought to it with a very lucky mistake is that these maker spaces are now turning into real and proper research and development institutions, basically.
That's a long way to go for us.
No, for us, for sure. But
if the right space and the right mindset is there, I think actually having interest from also university students and also backyard inventors to work together in such projects would actually lead to companies realizing that there is potential.
Another very important aspect about when explaining makerspaces is the international projects as well. Some makerspaces, the larger ones, they issue international projects where everyone can make part of, basically. So even if you like making stuff, you're at home and you have no idea what you're going to invest your strengths on, you can come to the makerspace, just look at the open projects board, and you say, okay, this interests me. I would like to build I would like to build a 7-foot piano which works with my feet, for example, or you can make part of a community project. Key, the most important thing that we're saying is the community. So let's make ourselves examples here. I am very good in software development, robotics, electronics, and that sort of thing. But when, for example, it comes to metalworking or woodworking, I know babkis. I know nothing. So this, for example, you, Keith, on the other hand, have a different skill set.
In fact, we complement a lot when we join our skill sets. For instance, I work comfortably in fabrication and also woodworking, metalworking, work with plastics, the hardware aspect of technology.
And this is what these makerspaces make possible and available in the first place.
Let alone also a design aspect, which is part of the mindset.
The mix of expertise in one space. And because of the nature of the space, everyone is willing to help each other. For example, if I want to make a product, I want to make a robot, but I need aluminum welding, which I have no idea how. And that is another aspect which, for example, aluminum welding in Malta is a skill which is basically
very hard to find.
It's not on Malta only, but everywhere. But
the skills are missing, and there's a gap in the specialized kind of technology.
In this space, I would find people, if not to make it for me, because you cannot make anyone make something. At least I can get some help in learning how to do it.
I guess that's why a makerspace is a space that attracts both people who are trying to learn something, and also it has to have something interesting for experts to come over as
exactly.
Well. And I think that would be the equipment.
Yes, that would be the equipment. And we haven't mentioned the equipment yet. What usually a makerspace is made up of areas. Now, when we talk about areas, we're talking about the major manufacturing areas. So basically, you have computer design, computer programming,
modeling
and
stations,
testing.
And you have some sort of clean area where
what
things
we call
can be
exactly what we
developed.
call the clean area, which is as well the electronics sections and the electronic stations, which is basically
And then you would have the hands-on section, the practical section, where you have woodworking benches, engineering benches, the equipment, lathes,
we forgot
machines.
the most important thing in the clean area, the automation section, which is CNCs, routers, and everything which is computer.
And that's
control.
the whole point,
3D
James,
printers.
because let's say someone who cannot actually afford to buy, let's say, a 3D printer, maybe a laser cutting machine.
Listen,
these
there are
resources
very few people who can afford to buy a 30,000 euro CNC for use at home. And this is why these spaces are important for the community to start. There is a lot, Keith, what I feel is this. There is a lot of untapped potential in our society.
In our main resource.
In our society.
Resource, yes.
Now, a space like this opens the door for everyone. So at least we as a society can at least start making use of these valuable resources. For people, especially, Keith, I don't know if you agree with me, especially for those who find closed doors everywhere. So basically those who don't have access to universities, higher education, people who are just fixing their bikes at home.
The whole point, James, is that you have people with different expertise that lend these expertise to each other. In what even in specialized fields, what we call today multidisciplinarity.
Yes.
So even if you're expert in digital PCB making or electronics, you would still crave to know more about how the other side of the work is done.
For example, one of the biggest proponent of this makerspace in Malta, and one of our biggest fans actually at the moment, is a cardiac professor. A professor which works in the medical institute at university, which has been pushing for this because he told me, I am not only heart and medicine, I have other interests, and through my other interests, I can give support to this community in my expertise. You know?
So then you also have the creative industry. We have a booming creative industry in Malta, for instance, in graphic design and interior design, architecture, which usually is limited to its own limited resources.
Yes, that's true. So our time is basically up, so we'll have to stop our discussion here. However, we'll keep you updated through our main channel as well. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to our podcast on iTunes. We come, obviously, always. All the links are in the description below. As usual, please share, like, and subscribe. I would like to remind you also that our Facebook page is on www.facebook.com/TechNation Show. The same on Twitter, www.twitter.com/TechNation Show. I would like to take this opportunity quickly to remind everyone that we have started a new section on Facebook, which we're going to start only publishing on Facebook, which are the shorts. We are doing 30-second snippets about cutting-edge technology, which we are publishing on our Facebook.